noble journey, Vishwa has been with us. Thanks a lot to Vishwa, who has helped us to reach people and also to raise funds.
Vishwa Talks is an initiative by Vishwa.org. Vishwa Talks are a series of weekly webinars hosted every Saturday that are focused on gaining in-depth knowledge from the experts on a wide range of topics that are pertinent to the current context.
One of the best collaborations that I had in 2021 is with Vishwa Talks.
Vishwa Talks is a wonderful platform, both for the speakers and the listeners. They cover varied topics, right from mental health to the environment. And it's so informative and so enjoyable.
All these are very enriching, and I congratulate Vishwa organization for their endeavors, and I wish them all the best for many more sessions.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Vishwa Talks. My name is Trishan and I thank you all for attending today's event. For those of you who have attended a Vishwa Talk before, a warm welcome back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, here's a little bit about us. Vishwa Talks are a series of weekly webinars hosted every Saturday that are focused on gaining in-depth knowledge from the experts on a wide range of topics that are pertinent to the current context. If you miss a session, please visit our YouTube channel for a full library of past Vishwa Talks on interesting topics. Today on Vishwa Talks, we will be discussing a very special topic, raising a child with autism. Our speaker for today, Dr. Subha Ramaswamy, will lead us through a session in just a few moments. She's a RCI licensed clinical psychologist and an educationist working as a consultant with Roshni Counseling Center and Cognitive Robotics, Hyderabad. She has 20 years of specialized experience in diagnosis, assessment of learning disabilities, autism, intellectual disability, behavioral, emotional, and adjustment disorders in children, and providing counseling, interventions, remediation, and rehabilitation. Before we get started, I would like to inform our audience that our speaker will be taking questions from you after the main talk. So please leave your questions in the chat or raise a hand and we will allow you to ask your question in person. I request everyone to turn on your webcam for the interactive part of the session. Now, without further ado, I invite our speaker to begin our today's Vishwa Talk. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Trishant, and thank you so much. Even before I start talking about raising a child with autism, I would like to talk about an incident. I have a friend, so we grew up together. So maybe we were in grade 9 when this friend of mine told me that, in grade 11, I am going to take maths, physics, chemistry as my subject. After that, I'm going to join this particular engineering college. And from there, I want to go to the US, continue my master's in computer science. And I want to work with this company. And at 25, I want to do this, 30, I want to do this. And she had everything so well planned. So after she finished her 12th, she did go to that engineering college that she wanted. And after her engineering, she did get admission into the university that she wanted in the US. And when she left for US, we lost touch. I think somewhere around 2010 or 11, I get a call from an unknown number. I pick it up. And from the other side, this lady says, "Hey, Shubha, it's me." So I recognized, and she said, "See, Shubha, I'm in Hyderabad. Can we meet?" So I said, of course we can. And she came over. So when I saw her, like I had a completely a different image of hers, like maybe she would be a CEO of a company, or a very, very smart lady walking through like crisp and beautiful clothes and all that. And I see a very, very tired, a lady who looks beyond her age coming, and I was a bit shocked. So I asked her, how are you? So she said, life sucks. And then I said, what happened? So she says, see, so what are you doing? So she said, I am a homemaker, and uh, I am a mother of a kid who has just been diagnosed with autism. And so I said, yeah, life, what about your plans? She said, yeah, I had made plans and God had another plan for me. So then she said, yeah, things were going pretty well. So I did land up in the job, my dream job. And then I married one of the best human beings. And then we had a child, and things were going pretty well with us. Then when my child was around 5 years old, we took him to for admission in the school. And that's where the coordinator of the school asked me to take my child to a health center to get a diagnosis, just get a checkup with the professional there for autism. So I took him and they diagnosed him with autism, and I didn't know what to do. So I was going through, I was doctor shopping, taking my child to every other doctor, and they were suggesting therapies, and we were taking, and like I was not having a life for myself, and it was a lot of strain on my job. So in the end, I had to leave my job, and I became a full-time mom, taking care of the house and the kid, taking him to different therapies, taking him to school. And that's what my life is now. So I'm now in Hyderabad, and I wanted to consult you, so I've come here. This is something I have been almost day in, day out. I meet parents like this who come and tell me, like, ma'am, like I have kept all my dreams, my ambitions aside, and I don't even know how to deal with my child, where to take my child, when will my child get out of this condition called autism. So that's when I realized that I should be doing something called psycho-educating the parents on how to raise a child with autism. And this talk is particularly a part of raising a child with autism. Can we move on to the next slide?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah, and today our agenda is understanding autism in a layman's term, and what are the characteristics of autism, how it affects a child, the myths and misconceptions and facts about autism, why early intervention is must, and how to parent a child with autism. Can we move to the next? So I do get a lot of parents who say, we have a lot of misinformation and there is a lot of stigma attached with autism. So what do we do? Is what many, many parents ask me. So, and I have seen that many, many parents, they blame themselves as soon as a diagnosis for autism is given. So what is autism? Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. It means that a child is born with autism. And this autism does not have a cure, and it is going to be a lifelong condition. Recent studies in India has shown that every 1 in 100 children below the age of 10 has autism. And this is commonly seen in males and usually diagnosed around the second year of life. In severe cases, earlier. We do not know the exact cause. However, genetics and heritability play a significant role. Can we move to the next slide?
Yes, sure.
So, characteristics of autism and its effect on a child's life in a very, very layman's term, because I want parents, psychologists to know what to look for. There is deficit in 3 areas. First area is social relationships. So when I say social relationships, these children may not be able to have eye contact. They may not be able to give appropriate facial expressions, body postures, gestures, or they may not be able to understand facial expressions, body postures, and gestures of other people. They fail to develop relationships with other children. They may not be able to imitate others. These children generally prefer to be alone, and they do not have a give or take relationship. They have deficit in social communication. Here, there could be a delay in speech or total lack of speech. Some children have speech and then they may have lost it. It's seen that these children have problems to initiate and sustain a conversation. And they have difficulty in receptive language, many a times also in expressive language. We see that these children are able to speak narrowly on focused topics, and usually they repeat what others have said or what they keep hearing frequently. They also have problems in imaginative thoughts. That is, they may be obsessed with a particular interest. They do not like changes in routine or environment, may prefer to eat certain particular type of food. They desire to have certain kinds of textures, or they avoid certain textures, and they may have some repetitive movements, motor movements, like flapping of hands, rocking, going round and round, things like that. Now, these are some things that parents should look out for. Can we move to the next slide? So we do have the myths and facts. There are a lot of misconceptions about autism. Many parents come and tell me, ma'am, my father, my grandfather, or my father-in-law, or they say, during our times, there was nothing like autism. This is a relatively new term, which people have invented now, and they're talking so much. It's a hype one. No, there are a lot of written material. There is a description of a child who is supposed to have had autism right in 1700s. And for the first time, Leo Kraner in 1943 described autism. There is also a myth that autism is a mental health disorder. Autism is not a mental health disorder, it's a neurological disorder. Doctors who have studied autism have revealed that abnormalities in brain structures and neurotransmitter levels lead to autism. But what we need to see is usually children or people with autism, they have they are twice as likely to have co-occurring mental health disorders, and they need treatment. Another myth is all people with autism have mental disabilities. Each and every person on autism spectrum is unique, and they have a wide range of intellectual abilities. It is difficult to assess or test, so even their IQs and their abilities. So most of their times they are underestimated or overestimated. So these testings or assessments should be done by an expert or a professional who is an expert in intellectual disability and autism. There are, as I was talking about a friend of mine, now her child is doing college with computer science as the subject. So we've seen that many children are able to get admissions into college and also work in variety of professions. Then there is a myth or a misconception that autism is caused by vaccines. There is no evidence that childhood vaccinations cause autism. There is a myth that autism is caused by poor parenting or refrigerator mothers. There was a lot of assumption that autism is caused by emotionally distant or cold parents. Even though we do not know the exact cause for autism, it is now firmly established that development of autism has nothing to do with parenting style. Can we move to the next slide? There's a myth that people with autism are violent. Yes, there are few recent stories relating autism to violence. Aggressive acts from autistic or people with autism usually arise because there is sensory overload or emotional distress. And it is very unusual for these people to act violently because they are jealous, they don't get along with people, or they want to take a revenge, something like that. And they hardly pose any danger to society. We see that mostly these people limit their exposure and interaction to other people because social situations can be very confusing for them, and it could be anxiety provoking. Another misconception is all individuals with autism have savant abilities. Yes, they have higher prevalence of savant syndrome amongst those who have autism, but only 10% of people with autism exhibit savant abilities. Savant abilities means they are exceptionally good in one or two areas. Almost 90% of children who are diagnosed with autism have normal or less than normal abilities. There is also a myth that autism is caused solely by environmental factors. Genetics or genes have been identified as one of the causes for autism. Environmental factors may add on to them, but they are not the only reasons why children have autism. There is also a myth that people with autism do not feel love or They are cold and lack empathetic feeling. Yes, these people have difficulty with social interactions, but they can have close social relationships. Yeah, they do have problem in expressing their feelings, but it does not mean that they are incapable of expressing love. At the same time, these people also feel as much, if not more, empathy as others. But they do have a little bit of problem expressing their feelings. Last but not the least, autism can be cured. This is a myth. Currently, there is no cure for autism spectrum disorder. However, early and intensive therapies can reduce the severity of symptoms and help people develop adaptive skills for daily living, emotional and behavioral regulations, and social engagements. Can we go to the next slide, please? Early intervention. The most essential part as far as autism is concerned is early intervention. And an early intervention can occur as early as 2 or 3 years of age. Why we say this is, as I told you, diagnosis for autism can be done at the age of 2. So as soon as a diagnosis is done, it's better we start intervention. In a layman's term, in this period, young child's brain is still forming, meaning it's more plastic or changeable than at older age. Because of this plasticity, treatments have a better chance of being more effective in a longer term. Early interventions not only give children the best start possible, but also a good chance of developing to their full potential. The sooner a child gets help, the greater chance for learning and progress. We've also seen that with early intervention, some children with autism make so much of progress that they are no longer on the autism spectrum when they grow older. So when I say early intervention, I mean programs that can help children gain basic skills, physical skills, thinking skills, cognitive skills, social skills, and emotional skills. We need to understand that no two children with autism are same as each other. What works well for one child may not work a bit for another one. Children with autism do not have same strengths and weaknesses as each other. Their IQs do not fall within the specific range. Their ability to handle social situations and understand social cues are different from one another. And they are no way related to their academic abilities. Next slide, please. So this is for parents to know, very, very important, is the milestones, developmental milestones, right from the time a child is born. If a parent feels that the child is lagging behind in any of these areas, please consult a psychologist, preferably a clinical psychologist, so that they can give you best advice. Can we move to the next slide? Now we come to the main part, that's parenting or raising a child with autism. So no parent is ever prepared to hear that their child is anything other than happy and healthy. And when a parent gets a diagnosis of ASD or autism spectrum disorder, it can be very, very frightening. And many parents are not sure how to help their child because there are many treatments available, many advices available, and they can be confusing, conflicting also. And what I have seen in my practice is once parents are told that there is no cure for autism spectrum disorder and this is a lifelong condition, they just leave their child. They do not provide any intervention because they feel nothing is going to make a difference. This is where they are going wrong. They need to consult a clinical psychologist, get a diagnosis done, and start therapy at the earliest. Can we go to the next slide? A few parenting tips that I always insist that a parent with a child who has autism is be consistent. Why I insist on this is children with autism spectrum disorder have hard time applying what they have learned in one setting to others. Like whatever they learn at the therapy center or school, how to use them in home, it's very, very hard for them. Say, for example, the child uses some word to communicate at school, but the child will never think to do that at home. Creating consistency in your child's environment is the best way to reinforce learning. So find out what is your therapist doing? How is your therapist teaching? What's happening at the school? Find out from the teachers and continue their techniques at home. Next is stick to a schedule. This is very important because a child with autism, they tend to do the best when they have a highly structured schedule or routine. Set up a schedule for your child with regular times for meal, therapy, school, and bedtime. Try to keep disruptions to this routine to a minimum. If there is an unavoidable schedule change, prepare your child for it in advance. Reward good behavior. Positive reinforcement can go a long way with children who have autism. So make an effort to catch them when they're doing something good. Praise them when they act appropriately or they learn a new skill. Being very specific about what behaviors they are being praised for. Create a home safety zone. Make a private space in your home where your child can relax, feel secure, and be safe. This may involve organizing or setting boundaries in ways your child can understand. Visual cues can be helpful. You could use a colored tape marking areas that are off limits, labeling items in the house with pictures. Very important point is look for non-verbal cues. Be very observant and aware and learn to pick up the non-verbal cues. Usually, the child with autism use some non-verbal cues to communicate. So when I say non-verbal cues, I mean the sounds that they make or try understanding their facial expressions or gestures. Usually they make when they are tired, hungry or want something. Another very, very important thing is figure out the reason for tantrum. It is very, very natural to feel upset when you are misunderstood or ignored. And it is no different from children with autism. When a child with autism acts out, it is often because you as a parent are not able to pick up their non-verbal cues. Throwing a tantrum is their way of communicating their frustration and getting your attention. Another very important thing is paying attention to your child's sensory sensitivities. Many, many children with ASD or autism spectrum disorder are hypersensitive to light, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Some children with autism are undersensitive to sensory stimuli. Figure out what sights, sounds, smells, movements, and tactile sensations trigger your child's bad or disruptive behaviors, and what elicits a positive response. What things make your child stressful? What are the things help your child to calm down? What are the things that make your child uncomfortable? What are the things that your child enjoys? Try finding out that. Can we move to the next slide? So as a parent, you need to keep asking a few questions to yourself. What are my child's strengths? What is my child good at? What is their weakness? Where is it that my child is lagging? So what behaviors are causing problems? What is the skill that my child is lagging behind? How does my child learn the best? Is it through seeing, listening, or doing? What does my child enjoy? And how can those activities be used in treatment and in helping my child learn better? Can we go to the next slide? So, some of evidence-based therapies that we suggest or I suggest for parents are behavior therapy to manage their disruptive behaviors, speech and language therapy, because we see that these children lack speech or there are delays in speech or they're not able to speak at all. Physical therapies or occupational therapies, here usually because there could be some movement, repetitive movements, the child could be hypersensitive to various sensory issues, or they could be hyposensitive to various stimulus. Then social skill training and emotional regulations also. But as a parent, please keep in mind that no matter what treatment plan is chosen, your involvement is vital for success. You can help your child get most out of the treatment by working hand in hand with treatment team and following through with the therapy at home. So I have been associated with an organization called Cognitive Robotics, wherein we are developing an artificial intelligence for autism intervention, which we call as AI for AI, wherein we are trying to integrate these therapies like behavior therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and social and emotional skills training. We're developing a software wherein a child can learn through these therapies, these skills, so that not even a single child, even in the remotest corners of the country, is left unattended to. This particular software is not a replacement for the therapist. It is just to help the parents help their child in a better way. And next slide, please. Yeah, and if any one of you wants to reach me, can call Roshni Counseling Center, this number, and take an appointment. Thank you so much.
Namaste. I would like to request you to take 30 seconds to answer a poll for us. The purpose of the poll is to serve you better so we can better curate the topics that we bring to you. While you take this survey, I would like to say a little bit about Vishwa Talks. Vishwa Talks is a space to expand the horizons of our mind. Every webinar, we call experts from different domains to examine and the opinions, issues, problems, and perspectives. Each webinar is an interactive session where we all walk away with more respect for each other and a deeper understanding of the subject at hand. I would like to express my gratitude to everybody who's joined us today with their presence to make this webinar a success. I extend my gratitude to our respected speaker, Dr. Subha Ramaswamy, for taking time to grace this event. The way you have explained it with such calmness, this is a subject all of us at some point, we see cousins or nephews or nieces somewhere in our extended family. A lot of myths around it about what is the issue, whether it is mental, whether it is neurological. And we see the parents of children like this going through a lot of trauma, letting go their careers, not able to go for any social events. Husband and wife supporting each other. Sometimes one of the spouses lets go and the other spouse takes the burden. A talk like this, we really appreciate Roshni Trust for coming up with a talk like this to allow us in our societies to understand what is a myth, what is not a myth about it, what is autism. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions. In addition to these thought-provoking talks, such as the one hosted today, we also want to extend the curiosity for exploration to our youth and young ones. We have launched 2 new segments of Vishwa Talks, namely Vishwa Talks Youths and Vishwa Talks Junior, to facilitate learning and important conversations in the bright minds of the new generations. Please stay up to date when we launch it and by subscribing to our emailers or checking up regularly on our website. Subscribe with schools and children's to Vishwa Talks Junior today. If you have in your circles schools who would allow them to have this opportunity. I remember my son was studying in Rishi Valley and eminent people from across the world would come and give a talk to them once a month. The sparking of the curiosity of the child to explore, to be inspired, to be motivated is what our intention is, not just for the privileged schools, but also to government schools. As Vishwa Talks is for free, we would like this to be made available. So please ensure this can be shared within your circles. We also would like to talk about the Vishwa materials, which has been a huge success this Diwali. A lot of people had gotten in touch with Vishwa, where we have taken the materials that they are not used. And there are more than 100 slums around Hyderabad, where a few NGOs have taken and have distributed them among those places. We would also like to say that there were a few fundraisers which were successful. One of them was a child with cerebral palsy. This child was walking 11 kilometers to school with limping legs. Their principal from a small village has put a fundraiser in Vishwa, and some anonymous person has donated funds to buy a tricycle for her, and today she's a very happy child to be able to use it. We also had a youngster of 20-25 years who raised a fundraiser for a school in Kalvakurti Mandal. And because there were 238 students in that school, 130 of them being women, girls, and there were the toilets were dysfunctional. In one of the Vishwa Talks participants has come forward to not just renovate the toilets of the girls, but also of the boys. And the work is in process. We'd really like to thank the participants for sharing it with people like that. I would now like to proceed to asking for the question and answer session.
I see that we have a question from Malti Raj. I'm just going to unmute her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, Subha. I wanted to know, like, how do the parents recognize when it's a very young age, like 1-2 years? How do the parents recognize that that child may be having autism? How is it for them?
See, so best indicator for them is the developmental milestones.
Okay.
So if there is a delay in the milestones, then they should become alert. They have to be very observant and aware that, yes, my child is lagging behind. Now, many parents come and tell me, ma'am, my father-in-law said my husband spoke very late. When he was 4 years old, that's when he spoke. So my child may also start speaking at 4 years of age or after that. But we need to be aware that there has to be stimulus for this child. There is no stimulus. See, speech is not a problem, but there is no stimulus, and that's why the child is not speaking. So even there is a slight delay, it's always better that they consult an expert so that if they need some interventions, they can get it at the earliest.
So how do you find out, like, if it is the stimulus is lacking, or is it really delayed speech?
See, if it is, like, say, a child should be speaking at least 1 or 2 words by the time the child is 1 year old. If the child is not doing that at all, so that means there is a delay. So child is 2 years old and the child is not speaking even a word. So that's when we say, okay, go consult a speech therapist. See if there is a problem. There could be a lot of problem with the mouth, if there is a physical problem, get it attended to. Or if there is a hearing problem also, then children don't talk. So we rule out, they should rule out all those things also. Yeah, if not, then the speech therapist help them with speech.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is another
Thank you.
question from Miss Shruti.
Hello, Dr. Subha. So
Hi.
my question is about the emotional therapy skills that are available. I mean, the skill therapy that is available. I'm not aware. I have a son with autism. He was diagnosed about a couple of years. He's been taking, speech, occupation, and other therapies, but he seems to be lagging behind in behavior and emotional skills. So those are things that are not easily addressed. So we just wanted to ask what kind of therapies are available for that.
So as I was telling, we have I have worked with this software. So we have launched this software now, and it is available with Rainbow Hospital. So wherein we are teaching the child how to acquire a simple emotion, like when you are sad, what should be your emotion? If you're happy, what is it? How do you smile? Two very, very complex emotions like getting angry and like those kinds of issues also we have addressed.
Okay.
So like it is like we've just started our study wherein we have attended to even the social and the emotional skills, and behavior tantrums are because we are not able to understand what they want to communicate.
Right.
Please understand you have to be very, very observant, very aware of their non-verbal cues. So if you can attend to that, most of their behavior tantrums reduce, and also look for their sensory sensitivity.
Right. And so it's probably a different conversation, but in the main experiences that we are having right now are from the school. And when there are lots of kids around, it's transitions, and when there is noise or shouting or screaming, he's not able to handle that, for example. So what can be done to address that? I mean, how do we convey to the school that, this
Don't
part,
make
what you
noise.
said? Yes, exactly. So kids will make noise. So
yeah.
So things like this, how do we work around this? Or is it like exposure therapy?
See, that's where occupational therapy, wherein sensory integration actually works.
Okay.
So that's where you need to take your child for occupational therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
One question from Mr. Natashan Ramaswamy. Thanks, Dr. Subha. Very interesting topic. I have heard that kids with Asperger's syndrome can be cured with early interventions. Is that a fact or myth?
See, even they come out of the autism spectrum, but somewhere, like it is a lifelong condition. So they come out of the diagnosis, but still they do have those features or the characteristics of autism in them.
One question from Ms. Shakuntala Devi Gandhi, please.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Namaste. This is Shakuntala from Rajamandri Kanna Ashray Foundation. Actually, I got a doubt because this recognition and milestones, with those indications, we can recognize the children. Because I'm handling with a son who is 35 years old. I'm also running one organization named Kanna Ashray Foundation with 50 children along with my son. My doubt is I have already delayed while joining in the schools. How can we teach those children? Because before 18 years only, we can teach them, we can train them like anything. We will have some result with those people. But what about child like 35 years old, like my son? Because so many are asking and approaching me to join in our school above 35 years, above 45 years. Actually, I would like to handle them, because I would like to ask you, is there any way to teach them? I know this occupational therapy will definitely work out, but is there any way, or is there any treatment? Because day before yesterday we learned that artificial intelligence chips, and will it work with our children or not? I would like to know, ma'am.
See, you have said exactly that early intervention is the best.
Yes,
but say we have delayed, but some kind of an intervention is also important for these children. So now for this child, we need for your child, where is the problem? If you are able to identify that and address that at any age. See, I do not know how to cook. As simple. So what is it that I have to do? Is I have to learn cooking. So similarly for them, what are the skills that they are lagging? It will take time, but they surely learn. And believe me, these children are not violent. They do not cause any harm to anybody. So generally they become aggressive. It's because we don't understand them. Please try and see what is it they're trying to convey. So, and see, I don't know if this artificial intelligence chips will work or not. I don't know. But what the program that we are coming up is teaching all these skills using a software. So yes, any parent and a child together can learn how to do these skills. That's it. And parent need not run from one place to another. So all of the 4 or 5 kinds of therapies, they're available at one place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And one more question. Recently, so I heard about this neurogen stem cell therapy. The people had one workshop here in Rajahmundry, and a few people went through that stem cell therapy. One of those parents, few of those parents told that few were changed, like they are accepting listening or words like that, and a few parents told that he's aggressive now after underwent this stem cell therapy. Just I would like to know, because so many are asking for this stem cell therapy. Everyone will think that like if I'll go there, definitely my son will at least can get some improvement or something like that. So for that also I would like to know, ma'am.
Ma'am, I am not a MBBS doctor. So I am not a person who should be talking about this. Okay. I don't have so much of knowledge about this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving
Dr. Ms. Shakuntala Devi Gandigaru, I would really like to thank you for running this organization in Rajahmundry, because as I've already shared, there are a lot of people across the country who have children or relatives going through this syndrome, and they have very limited support. It is the vision of Vishwa and Roshni that we would like to have such centers across Hyderabad too. And if there is anyone who's interested in starting such centers, we would like you all to get in touch with us so that we can look at how we can collaborate to provide these daycare centers for such people, so that parents can get at least a little relief for some time.
And Shakuntala ma'am, we would like to say by March or something, we would like to come and give you our product so that you can use it for your children.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks, sir.
Next, Ms. Amrita Preetham, please. Now, you need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself. Yes. We cannot hear you.
Connect to the earphones.
Yes.
And could you disconnect your earphones? Try.
Okay, next, we'll wait for you to come back on audio. Until then, Mr. Mayank Sharma, please will you continue with your question?
Hi, hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Vishwa Talks for organizing this session, and thanks a lot, ma'am, for this very important information. I had a couple of questions. We have a kid who is now 3.5 years old. I think this got identified almost a year back. We have seen good improvement in terms of a lot of these sensory issues, but we have observed that sometimes these sensory issues come back, and that is also in line with how the child does occupational therapy. So there are times when he's not doing occupational therapy well, and that is when we see some of these issues coming back again. So is it fairly common? So that's my first question.
See, it has to be done systematically, consistently, and like the occupational therapist would tell you for how long these therapies have to last. And usually the areas that they have difficulty in, that's where the child will have problems. And in some way, to show the frustration, there could be behavior issues.
Okay, ma'am. So how do we tackle this? Because if we push him too much, then he throws tantrums, starts throwing objects and all, doesn't want to stay long at the therapy center, just wants to rush out. So is there a way to tackle this?
Maybe, we will have to attend, you will have to combine it with behavior therapy also. Occupational therapy with behavior therapy will help.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. And sorry, one last thing, if I can ask, is that I think a lot of people recommend that, I mean, since therapy is only for maybe 1 or 2 hours in the day, so rest, obviously, the parents at home, I think they should try and replicate a lot of stuff which therapists do at the centers, right? Only thing is that in our case, our child, I think, maybe treats us too casually. So he doesn't do those things with us. I mean, doesn't sit a long time for us. So while with therapists, he's still better. But with us, maybe just for a few, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, he'll do, then he'll just go away. So how do we push the child to do that with us as well, which I think is very important for his development?
Yeah. First thing is decide who is the boss of the house, the child or you. Then, see, one more very, very, that was on a lighter note. See, even though you feel that the child is not observing, please do not stop. You keep doing it. Even if the child just leaves, goes, but the child will keep observing, will keep noting. So once he knows that, yeah, this is the time, say 10 minutes, 15 minutes, decide on a time, stick on to that. So even if the child spends 5 minutes on the first day, by end of say 10, 15 days, the child would be sitting with you for 15 minutes. So please do not think that the child is not observing or the child is just walking away. The child is aware that something is going on. The child usually comes back.
Right, exactly. So he's deliberately ignoring all this. So he's observing everything, but he's deliberately ignoring.
Yeah.
His understanding is fairly good that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is we think, abhi to kuch nahi ho raha hai, so just let me leave. So don't stop. You keep doing your part.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. This was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank Roshni Trust for partnering with Vishwa. I'd like to thank Roshni Trust for putting in this effort for the past 20 years, selflessly, to make a difference in the field of mental health. I'd like to thank Ms. Sashi Reddy and Ms. Shanti Reddy. Such amazing people who never come onto the screen, who never show their faces, but relentlessly work towards making a contribution to society without expecting anything back. We would like those of you who would like to support Roshni Trust or know any corporates who can support Roshni Trust. Roshni Trust can give workshops in corporates. In turn, funding can be given to Roshni Trust to conduct free psychiatric camps for the underprivileged through their CSR initiatives. And we would love to collaborate with new partners to spread such missions wide. We also have a fundraiser being made by Kannashreya, where there are around 10 staff members. If you or anyone you know who can, if we can get 10 people to monthly donate 10,000 rupees to Kannashreya, all we require is 10 people to donate every month 10,000. We can support the staff of Kannashreya. Or if we can donate 3,500 per meal to Kannashreya, we can ensure that they get food. People coming from the villages, they don't even know how to deal with this situation. Sometimes they just abandon the child. It will be great if you can share it with people who can do this. With this, I would like to thank Dr. Subha Ramaswamy for really coming out here, selflessly sharing with people her knowledge and answering the questions so patiently with each and everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am. You've been wonderful. And I know the service you do, it's amazing. To do a service in the field that you're doing is like you'd say serving God. Thank you so much. With this, we close the session.
Ma'am, we have one more question from Amrita Preetham, which is not addressed before.
Yes, please. We all can continue. The session is closed, but the question and answers will continue. Trishan, please share the upcoming talks and about the Vishwa Hyderabad 10K also. Questions can continue, please. Trishan, please take. Thanks.
Amrita, ma'am, you can go ahead with the question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I want to ask, my son is 16 years old and he is autistic. And earlier he was going to school, but we have shifted to our native place, Bihar, and here is no therapies and nothing is available. For 3 years, I sent him to hostel, but now due to fracture in his leg, he came back home. And what can we do now with him at home?
Ma'am, are you on mute?
Yeah. So, see, you need, like your child is 16 years old and he is at home.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's no therapy available.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So most probably the product that I was talking to you would help you, but yes, you have to, ma'am, maybe he what grade is he studying? He was studying.
But actually he was not studying there. He was, I told them to, firstly for ADL, his ADL, because
Okay, ADL. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So like these, you need to continue therapy somehow for him. You still have few years wherein he can learn basic uh, things for his daily living, and should also give him vocational training. That's very important so that he becomes later on independent in life.
From where can I get his vocational training?
Ma'am, Bihar, I am not aware of.
Okay.
You come
No,
to Hyderabad.
nothing is available here, ma'am. Actually, earlier we were in Delhi and everything was available there. But my mother-in-law passed away. That's why we came here.
Yeah, so if I get to know anything, I will share information with you. Yeah, otherwise, you have to, if you come to Hyderabad, I can help you.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
I thank you again, Dr.
In
Subha.
Hyderabad, which are the vocational training centers that are available?
Ma'am, I know one that's there in Shraddha and Saburi is one.
Where it is?
Pardon?
Where it is?
It's somewhere in Begumpet.
Would you be able to share us the details later on so that we can send it to our participants?
Sure, sure.
Also, the cognitive training app, could you share the details so that we can share it with the participants?
Surely, surely. I will.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Prashant, you are on mute.
Sorry. Yes, ma'am. I was. So the upcoming talk is on art and culture. It's on 17th of December. And the speaker's name is Himanshi Katrigada, and she's a Kuchipudi dancer and mentor and also an influencer. And she's gonna give a brief about vanishing cultural art forms from our education systems. Lastly, please take a moment to subscribe to Vishwa Talks to get alerts on every news and exciting talks, exclusive events, and access to the Vishwa community. Please follow Roshni Trust on Instagram to get more details on their camps and events. Thank you very much.
Please also share the Hyderabad 10K.
Yes, ma'am. It's being shared.
Hyderabad 10K is coming out with a talk on December 18th. I would like those of y'all who want to run for a cause, please participate and run there. Walk, even if you have 5 people and you all are interested in a cause that you want to support, please walk on that day and share it with the people of Hyderabad. Okay then, thank you.
Thank you.
Priti, will you be sharing the breakout rooms?